Alright, let's do this. This is Fish on a Heater, and it's getting easier for me to say that. And this is another episode of Tournament Takeaway where I take a look at a single battle just in isolation to try and break down some of the decision making in the moment, see if we can learn anything to take into our next battle. And it also is a way for me to show the world just how easy it is for me to screw up simple tasks. To illustrate, this is a battle that I played in Go Stadium, which is a remote tournament server. For anyone who doesn't know how the whole structure of Go Stadium works, it's pretty complicated, so I'm not going to kind of break it all down here. Just really, it involves 3 or 4 month seasons, and there's kind of a system of promotion and relegation between the seasons. And for those who do know how it all works, I'll fill you in on the situation, which was, this was the last tournament of my first season. So I'm in Lavender Town, and we've just reached the end. I was heading into the tournament on equal points. I was in the Ranger tier playoff zone, but I was on equal points with the guy at the bottom of the automatic Ranger tier spot. So this was a very, very important tournament for me. I had to do well. I had to, in particular, beat that guy that I was on equal points with. I didn't. I was matched up with that trainer in the first battle of the tournament, and he beat me 3-0. I was so disappointed. I just totally blew that. But I thought, I could salvage it as long as kind of I still managed to win more battles than him in the tournament. Then I could still finish above him. I won matches 2 and 3. It was a 4-rounder, and it all came down to match number 4, the last match of the tournament. This other guy, his name was Hockey Freak, the one that I was on equal points with. He had also lost a game. I think he lost his round 2 matchup. So again, we're on equal wins, heading into the final round. I had to win this battle. Hockey Freak had to lose his matchup. I went up against a dude called Lorich, or Loric, I think it's Lorich, who is quite a good trainer himself. And, I better close that down. These are the teams we picked. Ferocious Cup tournament, by the way. Probably should have mentioned that. So, I believe I won the first match there, and Lorich won the second. So not only is it coming down to the last tournament, not only is it going down to the last matchup, it's also going down to the last battle of that last matchup. And not only that, it was a freaking exciting finish too. So I'm gonna play this battle. It was this one's just going in normal speed. Whoops, gotta open that up again. Alright, let's see if that works. And there we go. Alright. So, perfect start for me. I spent a good probably minute and a half trying to think what Lorich would do for battle number 3. And I picked it. I figured he'd lead with the Ninetales. I caught it with the Nidoqueen. Fantastic. Excellent start for me. I'm thinking, oh wait, I might have already won this. Obviously. That sounds stupid saying it now. You haven't won just because you won your lead. That it's not Rainbow Cup. So, I found this surprising, where Lorich just let the Ninetales go. He didn't try and switch it out, didn't try and save it. So I just farmed that thing down, saved up a whole ton of energy. Did have to spend a shield to do so, but that's alright. Okay, now the Umbreon comes out, and I switch automatically to the Ninetales. I wanted to... Oh, that's a sweet animation there. I wanted to save up all the... I didn't want to spend all that saved up energy now, because he's got both shields up still. I wanted to try and get down the shields first, and then come in and just blast away with the Earth Powers. You can probably already see a flaw in that, Ninetales isn't really known for its shield pressure. All its damage comes from the fast moves, not the charge moves, so it's not really going to apply any shield pressure to anybody. But, and also, the other big problem with this, and I realized this as soon as it happened, where I have now given up switch advantage. Lorich brought out the Umbreon. I brought out the Mon that counters the Umbreon. Lorich still has a switch available to him. So it's just too easy for him to just get the Umbreon out of there. And of course, he has the Lairon there, which destroys the Ninetales. So I realized this mistake, and I don't bother shielding. I'm like, there is no point in wasting those shields fighting a very clearly losing battle. I did manage to get a charge move off, and he does burn a shield. Fantastic. So out comes my Suicune, and I loved using Suicune during November. A lot of people were off it, but I just loved using it. Number one, it's pretty tanky. Number two, shield baiting. My goodness. There were so many situations where my opponent had 2 shields live, and I managed to get through a Hydro Pump, deleting one of their Mons, because I just kept on keeping them guessing. You build up enough energy to get to the Hydro Pump, and then they can't take the risk often, or a lot of the times they do take the risk, and you get them. So yeah, I loved using Suicune, and obviously Suicune fantastic to use in this situation against the Lairon. That body slam, not doing too much, and I'm charging up to that Hydro Pump. Go with the Bubble Beam. Unfortunately for me, Lorich called that one, and at that point, there was no point in going with the Hydro Pump there, because like a Bubble Beam would probably kill it at this stage. Not kill, faint. Why do I always have to say kill? It's so violent. Alright, so the Bubble Beam does take it out. And now out comes the Umbreon again. It's got 1 shield left. I didn't want that to happen. So I should have gone for a Hydro Pump at some stage. I just kept on using Bubble Beams. I used my last shield on the Suicune because I wanted to either get its attack as low as possible, or actually I'll pause it here. I knew that it would probably have the shield remaining when my Nidoqueen came back in with all that stored up energy. So I think what I was thinking there was I wanted to get its attack so low that it just wouldn't have the firepower to take out my Nidoqueen before it could get up enough Earth Powers to take it out. By the way, you probably noticed that the Nidoqueen only has 1 charge move, didn't have the Earthquake. This cup was so darn expensive. I believe it's the cup that I've spent the most Stardust on ever. Down here, the Bibarel and the Lanoon. Those 2 Mons there. 200,000 Stardust each. 200 grand on one Mon, and then 200 on another Mon. Do you think Stardust grows on trees? It was just so expensive, and I was like, you know what? I can't afford another 50 grand on giving Nidoqueen a second charge move that does almost the same thing. I was even hesitating on giving Ninetales a second charge move. I already had the Umbreon built up, so that was fine. Suicune, I had to give that the second charge move. It's useless without it, so that was 100 grand there. So that's 500 grand between 3 Mons. I'm not giving Nidoqueen the second charge. Maybe, in a future cup where I've stored up a bit more Stardust again, but anyway, rant over. So yeah, I start just getting the Umbreon's attack down as much as I can. And look at that, I just managed to get off one more Bubble Beam. And this is an exciting finish. This is incredible how this finishes. Okay, so I've hit it with what, like 3-4 Bubble Beams at this stage? And then out comes Nidoqueen. And whoops, I'm playing with this idea at the moment where I'm thinking that not hitting all the targets means it uses slightly less energy. I don't know where I got that idea, and playing with it I was playing with it like all of November and some of October, and I don't think it actually works. I don't know. It seemed to work for me sometimes. It left a little bit of health left. Obviously, the trade-off would have been like if you're not using as much energy, then it wouldn't have done as much damage, which is fine. But yeah, I'm thinking that's not actually a thing. Like if you know if that's a thing or how to exploit it, how that mechanic works, if it does exist, then please comment below because I'd love to know. In this particular situation, I knew Lorich was going to use the shield, so it wasn't really anything to lose there. I dodged the targets, I guess, and I didn't charge up my move, hoping that it would give me a bit of extra energy. He does block, and now I'm almost straight away at the second Earth Power. Lorich does manage to get the foul play in first. Doesn't get me, thanks to all those Bubble Beams. Use my Earth Power, not quite. Defense falls. Trying to get down the health with those poison jabs. Just not enough. Oh! I had done so well to correctly predict Lorich's lead and farm it down, build up all that energy, and then I blew it. It was that one key moment. I'll play. I don't need to play it again. It's the one key moment where I gave up switch advantage. He brought out the Umbreon, and I wanted to bring out my Umbreon counter and save all Nidoqueen's energy. I didn't need to do that. I once saw a video from another PvP, a very high level one. His name was Arrow. He really caught my attention with this kind of mantra he kept saying, which was, it's done its job. He was using that, he was talking about a Sinister Cup tournament that he had played, and he kept saying, I don't need to keep this mon alive because it's done its job. And that's what I wanted to explore with my, exploratory battles after the fact. There were a few different things I could do, like trying to Hydro Pump the Umbreon with the Suicune, or just trying to saving my shield, not keeping that Suicune alive, because again that had done its job. It's gotten rid of the Lairon. Now, So I wanted to recreate that battle so I can show you this idea of, it's done its job, so let it go. But where formerly I was using pvpoke.com's training feature, obviously I can't really do that in this case because my opponent did a very specific thing, which was left his Ninetales in to faint. I can't tell the training feature to do that, so I enlisted the help of a friend. This is Ruthless Bambi, who has her own YouTube channel. It's really cool. You should check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. And I told her, okay, here's the situation. It was these 3 mons, led with this, then brought out this. After that, do whatever you want. So, here's the first one. And I will speed this one up now. Oh, look at him go. Not him, her. So, Bambi decided not to bring out the Psyshock until it was almost fainted. And she was like, is that what you wanted me to do? I'm like, yeah, no, that was great. Alright, so here it is. She brings out the Umbreon, I bring out the Earth Power straight away. And then I get to another one straight away. Now, out comes the foul play, and I don't bother keeping it alive because it's done its job. There's no point. Once it's gotten rid of the Nidoqueen, its main point is to be a counter for the Ninetales. So once it's done that job, I don't care if it lives or dies. Well, I mean that's pretty unfair to Nidoqueen. Sorry to offend you if you're watching Nidoqueen, but if it faints, it doesn't affect me that much. Obviously, I would love to have that energy to be able to use against the Lairon, for example. If it's got no shields left, then an Earth Power will delete a Lairon off the face of the Earth. It'll just vanish into a puff of smoke. But barring that reasonably specific situation where the Lairon's down to no shields, there's really no other point in keeping the Nidoqueen around. So I let the Nidoqueen go down, and now Ninetales comes out. I haven't given up switch advantage at this point. So now Lairon comes out, and again, I'm just letting it go down, letting the Ninetales go down, because it's done its job. It's gotten rid of the Umbreon, and now I'm left with this Suicune versus Lairon situation. And this, you can play this particular matchup out many times, and I'm gonna win all of them. I don't remember. Did I have a shield at the beginning of that one, or did I use them both? No, I think I had one shield left, so I used that. It was I had one shield on the Suicune. Bambi has no shields left here. There's just almost no reason to keep watching the rest of this. Take it out with the Hydro Pump. Lovely. Alright, so did it a few times just for scientific purposes. So out comes the Nidoqueen against the Ninetales again. And this time I opted not to farm it down. I just decided to use the Earthquake right there, and so then I have both my shields up as well, just seeing what difference that makes. I managed to get to another Earth Power against the Umbreon. And again, I'm just... Oh, you know what? Okay, you know what that was? I was about to say that I'm letting this Nidoqueen go down, but what happened here was I was just finishing up work when we did these battles, and someone came up to me and started chatting to me while I'm battling. And you know how sometimes you get people who think they're your friend. Like they chat to you like your best buds when you're just like, leave me alone. I get that a lot. That sounds really bitchy of me. It's just I have a particular line of work which is kind of there's a huge customer service element of it, so I've got to kind of be nice to everyone when I don't want to be. So a lot of people think that they mistake my courtesy for friendship. I almost wish I hadn't said that. That just sounds so mean. But yeah, so I'm tapping away this thing. This guy comes up to me and starts talking, and I'm just going, yep, sure. And then I accidentally use the shield. But anyway. So in this situation, I don't use the shield. Still managed to get to another Earth Power even. So by using one shield, I've managed to take out the Umbreon and the Ninetales. Granted, Bambi didn't use any of her shields in that situation at all. And we know how this one ends, so I'm going to speed this up even faster. I've still got the Ninetales that I haven't even touched yet. Didn't even need the Ninetales for this one. I don't think. Still going for those Bubble Beams. If I remember rightly, she really predicted my bait patterns there. I think oh no, except for that last one maybe. But I think except for that last one, she might have predicted every time it was going to be either a Bubble Beam or a Hydro Pump. But you know, the Bubble Beam was enough to take out that Lairon, and I didn't even need the Ninetales for that one. And let's just do it one more time. So with this one, I went back to farming. Use that shield again. Get to an Earth Power. Well, get to an Earth Power. I already had the Earth Power. There's another one. And you'll notice that Bambi hasn't used a Foul Play on me yet. Now she's doing it. And I'm just letting the thing go down. So this is pretty clever on her part, because now I bring out the Ninetales and she can switch to the Lairon. She's got a ton of energy stored up on that Umbreon. But that meant she gave up switch advantage, which was the mistake that I made in the real battle. Because I could just counter switch straight away to Suicune, who, you know, as we know, just tears apart the Lairon. Look at that. I got the Hydro Pump in there, and now it's the Umbreon versus the Suicune and the Ninetales. I have a couple of goes at switching to the Ninetales. Last Resort does a decent chunk, but it's just not going to be even close to enough. So that is the lesson there. The takeaway being, know what job your Mons are doing, and once they've done that job, you can let them go. You don't need to keep them alive. Just any energy you might have stored up, just send it out into the universe on whatever Mon might be there. Obviously, that's a very general rule. There's a lot of situations, I'm sure, where it will be handy to keep those, nuke charge moves handy for a late game situation. But in a general sense, once the Mon has done its job, just let it go. So that is it for this week's episode of Tournament Takeaway. Thank you to Bambi for helping me with the battles there, helped me prove a point, and Remember to comment and subscribe. If you've got any other ideas of how I could have, gotten the best of that battle, other than just letting the Nidoqueen go down, or I don't know if you think there's any flaws in my logic or the mantra of letting the Mon go down, then please let me know. I want to build up like at least a little bit of a community where I can kind of share ideas and we can learn off each other. I don't need to be a king or a poker battler. I'd love to be as popular as those guys, but that's not exactly what I'm aiming for. I just want a group of people that I can, learn how to do this whole Pokemon battling thing. I said Pokemon like someone who'd never heard of it before. Pokemon. Anyway, rambling aside, I tend to do this every single episode. That is it. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.